Hey, we're back, Larry. So,
Welcome
Larry, look,
up.
I'm in Cubs mode today, and I see that you are not representing your sports team today.
No, but I moved over. I'm in Brooklyn now. See,
Oh, you're in Brooklyn.
change my
And
background.
that's right. And I don't see the tree that's growing in Brooklyn. We had the tree last time.
Yeah.
Where is that tree? It's a bridge.
Don't have it yet.
Wait a minute. So I'm still looking over the papers on that bridge, and I'll let you know when we're ready to purchase.
Fine. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So I'll let you know. We're working out the financing at right
Just
now. So
think about all the tolls that you can get, man. I
yeah,
mean,
I
they're up
know.
to $35 now.
I know.
I mean, that's,
And it looks good in my wall too.
there you
Just
go.
saying. So, anyways, yes, you can tell this is a crazy Friday before the holiday, and we're getting together. We talking cloud. We're sharing a screen. I'm sharing a screen right now because this came up. And yeah, we're going to have guests, by the way. I know we keep teasing you. We try to get it this week, but yeah, it's before the holiday. So, hey, we're sort of not exactly charging a cover charge to get here. So best we can do. Come back next week. Don't worry. Your time will be worth it. In the meantime, I wanted to bring this one up because we talked about before. This was actually one of our first topics. If you go back to one of our early days, we talked about. Remember, I had like an animation, like battle between SAS and PAS and all that stuff, right? So infrastructure as a service, we know that is. Platform as a service.
Let's back up just a second, even further, right?
Yes, let's go back.
Because we started out way back in the Wayback Machine. Everyone had their own computers, right? I mean, when I say everyone, I'm talking about those corporate people, right? Because corporations are really people now. Because well, anyway, every organization had their own data center, and within that data center, they ran their own computers. Okay, but then we had this cloud thing, and so we were going to move to the cloud, and the first way that you could move to the cloud was where we start right here, right? Infrastructure as service.
Infrastructure as service, exactly. The original way to the cloud, essentially. It's almost like when we talk about the Big Bang, the first galaxy, the first stars that were being put together.
And the first big player, or the biggest player, was rack space. I mean, that's what they did. You would just literally buy rack space within their data center to host your computers. And that's the way we started. Okay? But now we're moving beyond that. And that's what this article is about. And it's from Intel. So
yeah, how about that? The hardware people talking about the cloud. Because here's the thing. Think about it. If you're going to have infrastructure as service, who else can talk about infrastructure perhaps than Mr. Infrastructure themselves? There isn't even an I in their first letter. You can tell, right?
Hey, just because it's in the cloud doesn't mean it's not running on a machine. And Intel is all about the machines. So
that's right. So at the end of the day, these are not like. At some point, maybe we will evolve to the seventh level of creation, of civilization, as they call it. My little daughter's been watching that. Apparently, let me tell you this concept. I think it's called the levels of civilization. Let me look for that one real quick.
Right.
Levels of civilization.
Cool.
And yep, so let's go take a look at this. I'm going to say here's the 6 levels. Okay, levels of civilization. Here we go. It's called the Cartership scale, which he has 6 levels, but there's actually they came up with 7 right over here. And the idea is like we're not even in 1 right now. We're like at 0.73 or some number like that. Right over here.
Okay.
This is actually pretty interesting. So my 6-year-old is actually getting into this, and she's like, hey, "Wow, we can be a level 1. We can be a level 2 soon." It's like, well, no, in 100,000 years maybe. And the idea is like you're self-sufficient with energy completely, and that's a level 2. You create a Dyson sphere that captures the sun. You're a level 3. You're capturing all the energy of the galaxy. You're a level 4. You're able to touch the universe. You're a level 5, and I mean, and it goes up from there. You're creating a universe. You are the creators. You are a pure energy being. You're way up there, right? So that is essentially the case of the internet, where like we're still at point. Actually, the internet, if you think about it right now, is still at 0.1. We haven't yet reached the max of the internet yet as
Right.
the cloud, as people would like to envision all the things that the cloud should be able to do. We still have, how do we say it, our tethers into the physical infrastructure. Because imagine now there's no physical infrastructure, but we're actually using, oh, I don't know, the power of the blobby blob plasma that's in space that's going to actually contain the internet bits, as opposed to machines that can be blown up, sunk underwater, or anything else. I would call that the next level.
We still have light speed lag between points, right? We're not using quantum entangled electrons to do our data transmissions yet. I mean, you know, we have a long way to go.
Exactly. We have a long way to go. So we're still at the 0.1 as opposed to this level over here.
Right. Think about 20 years ago, though. I mean, that was pet.co, right?
Right.
People didn't know what the internet was, and it was the Wild West.
Exactly. So actually, we were at the Wild West in terms of human scale and civilization scale. Just moments ago, we were the Wild West, and actually, a few minutes ago, in technical in grand scale versions, we were still figuring out how to do plants, right? How to grow plants. So internet-wise, it's almost the same paradigm, right?
Right.
Just not 10 years ago or not 20 years ago, we were doing things that right now we're like, man, we're doing that on our phones, right?
Right. And at least we're not using wires, right? We are still light speed bound, but we are not using wires.
Exactly.
I don't have wires connected to any of the machines in my house. Right.
So I like this over here. So like we can follow. You know what? This would be cool if we can like equate this to the internet over here. So we're here. We're not yet at level 1, which is right over here, type 1. We're at a 0.73 according to all these other places I've looked at. And they're talking about basically this is when fusion energy is really happening, and we're sort of like capturing the power of a star, which is fusion. And there's type 2. See that, the Dyson sphere going on over there? There's type 3. Look at that. Subdue the galaxy. What is type 4? Type 4. The galaxy itself, a Dyson sphere. Can you imagine if there's a civilization out there? If we find out, like, hey, there's something is blocking your view over there. What is that? Probably someone way more advanced than us. Let's say we should be very scared. Here's type 6 over here, where apparently we're creating universes. We're aware of the multiverse, and by the way, destroying them just as easy. But that would be essentially our same path. I think. You know what? It'd be a pretty good blog if somebody came up with the 6 levels of cloud, and come up with the same equivalent here.
And another good analogy. I mean, this is good, but you can also look at the cloud. If you look back in the history of banking, okay? If you look back in the history of banking, you can find a lot of parallels. The history of accounting, really the history of any of the complex systems that our society is built on today. We have a lot of regulations around them, and they've matured, and there continue to be advancements, but they are slow to advance, and we're still in that takeoff phase for the internet. We still have rapid
places now, and considering they've been around there a long time. The case of accounting, the Italian bankers in Genoa and those places putting together the first double entry bookkeeping in all those places. That's where it came from. The champagne fairs of old. We're talking like 1100s, 1200s, and before the plague came in, they were already figuring this stuff out. I mean, the Dutch were doing options trading back in the day, which is what made the Dutch really good about it. So just saying,
Yeah,
this
well,
is
the
like
flower markets,
centuries
right?
ago.
I mean, if you look, the Dutch auction that came from the flower markets, and that's a way of distributing and we still are learning what the internet really is going to be, and we still
Yes.
have a lot of room. We're still in the growth phase. Man, you can um, hook your collar to any of these things and just try to hang on and keep up.
And
It's
keep
about
up, right? Enjoy the ride. Here's the thing. Unlike our previous generations that essentially didn't live to see the rest of it, the difference between what's going on the internet now and all these other techs is we're actually alive to watch it happen. So
that's
we
right.
actually saw. It's almost like we're individuals that lived when they were starting to uh, discover agriculture, and we're still alive when they were flying in airplanes. Right? It's like,
Yes.
whoa, we're like Methuselahs. We're so ancient. We're looking at it, but you know what? And we still feel young enough to say, yeah, we got enough brain power to see what might come right over the
Well,
shoulder.
and if you look at longevity, I mean, there are people who predict that the person, the first person to never die, right, to basically live past 200 years, has already been born,
Isn't that
right?
wild?
And that's just it's crazy the
That's, by the
amount.
way, in that level of civilizations talk, they talk about that too, as one of the indicators of civilization. Essentially, when you don't essentially evolve yourself out of yourself completely, when you pretty much that's it, you pretty much hit that acme of immortality, as they call it.
All right. So anyway, sorry. Back to
Speaking of
here.
immortality and stuff that never dies.
Infrastructure as a service, right?
Yep.
Platform as
Platform
a
is
service.
the obvious one because that one is the easy one. That's essentially says, you know what, infrastructure, that's great, but you're the one managing it. Platform is like, well, let's take care of some of this plumbing, and you still have some control to do stuff.
And that actually was a really easy move for a lot of corporations to make because they had infrastructure teams that managed patching all of the servers and everything like that. Well, platform as a service, they just fired all those people and let the cloud vendors do it for them. Oh,
Exactly.
not fired. I'm sorry. Let me back up. They retrained those people.
Thank you.
Actually, all of those people went to get better jobs because anyway. The next level though is software as a service.
My friend, this is where I live right now.
This is
Software
where
as
we
a
start.
service.
And this is
Yes.
this is where I think you should, if you're starting a new project, a greenfield project, you should start software as a service anywhere that you can. And then as you need more control, or as you need more to be able to tweak parameters that you can't do in someone else's playground, then you move back down to platform as a service. And
Correct.
if necessary, you can move all the way back down to infrastructure as a service, but you really ought to rethink your design if you need to go that far.
Well, yeah. So it's the case of like, why are you it's like reinventing the wheel in some cases,
For
but then
sure.
also realize that here you're in this land. Why are you going to reshape tropical climate to be like, say, an ice palace? I mean, why not I'll give you like a transportation, or I'll give you a teleporter and go to the ice palace and be done. Instead of from the ground
Right.
up recreating it. If you're trying to create Disney World or Disneyland to make that happen, well, that's all fine and well, but it's going to be fake, as opposed to, like, you want the real thing, do the real thing. Software
Right.
as a service allows you to be the real thing for what you know, as opposed to pretending to be the real thing. Like, if you go down deep in the infrastructure service, you're going to be pretend, because everyone else that's doing it have been not only there, they're the ones that run what's going on. They're for
If,
real.
if you've gotten down that far, honestly, I think you've lost sight of what you're trying to solve. And
Yes.
you're working on your implementation instead of the solution to the problem.
Right.
And,
It's
and
like writing machine language code when
yeah,
we have languages to actually write with. Like,
and it's okay. It's
yeah.
okay if you love that and that's what you want to do on your spare time, but don't do that for your business.
No, no.
Come on.
Don't charge
I mean,
someone for it, please, unless you're the one working for those people. That's your job. Go work for those people.
right. Exactly.
That
Yes.
makes more sense, right? I like this though. And over here they talk about the so-called everything as a service, SaaS. So remember,
Right.
we had SaaS, but then they have the concept of everything's a service. Well, technically speaking, that is software as a service, was the idea of that. But everything as a service is the broad term. All right. Essentially, anything you can think of can be a service. All right. As long, again, the only point though is there's going to be, at the very least, that SaaS layer to get you down to the layers below.
Right.
Got to have that. Over here, oh, by the way, they talk about a few other services. I forgot about these, right? So they talk about function as a service. Let's talk about these ones for a while, because these ones, we didn't talk about this in our first show. These are not exactly newer, but I like these little flavors. I like that they have names.
Yeah, so function as a service, right? When we talk about software as a service, you build your program and you put it all in the cloud and it runs on somebody else's thing. But function as a service is when you don't build your whole program and put it in a place. You build the pieces and then connect them up afterward, right? So you've decomposed your solution, your implementation, to the point that you have all of these reusable Lego pieces that you can then pick up and use somewhere else.
Right.
That's what these functions are. And that's
exactly.
an awesome.
That's an awesome thing. Now, the concept of software as a service, though, was very broad. What is software as a service? M365 is software as a service.
Yes.
Would you build an M365? Well, you could use it as a model to build something. However, that's big. Why do you need that when really all you're solving, again, it's the case of appropriate size, right?
Right.
I only need this. Well, build only this.
Yeah, build
Function
just
as a
that.
service.
And you know what? Hey, you love the Power Apps, right? But there are some things that it would be hard to implement as a function within a Power App.
Correct.
And
you still need that small piece. Yes.
So you don't. You build your function as a service and you connect it to the Power Apps because they do that really, really well.
Right. A Power Apps, by the way, would be considered in a SaaS world, actually. So, yep. But even if the Power App is doing one and only one thing, because behind it is a whole mass of infrastructure pieces or software and everything else that makes it happen. But this truly, in function as a service, the whole point is it's that smallest piece that you could probably build right now that you can connect to anything. In particular, like the IoT applications, when you're trying to make something work into small function. I can't throw a Power App, for example, into an IoT. And it doesn't make sense to do such a thing. Why do I need to bring it that big? Why do I need to have all that luggage, right? And all that stuff. That's like, I don't know, ever see those movies when you have the like the diva going somewhere and then they have 5 cars worth of luggage. Oh, was that Trading Places? Remember that movie, Trading Places, where they come in and they have all the bags coming in there until he decides to give it to everybody. But that's exactly what that is. It's like, well, you only needed the shirt in your back to be able to get to the places, and there you go. Right.
All right. And the next one down, bare metal as a service.
Oh, this would be on your favorite realm here.
Right. Well, and that's what we were talking to Rob Hirschfeld, right, in one of the earlier about.
That's right.
Like, what if you could
heavy metal?
What if you could take bare metal and then refactor it, decide what's going to be running on it, right? And that's what you can do. And bare metal as a service is a step below sort of infrastructure as a service, but it's not. I mean, it's sort of very similar to infrastructure as a service.
Right.
But it's actual bare metal instead of being a VM.
Yes.
And it's kind of see, that's splitting hairs to me. It is a little bit. Come on. Rackspace, you got a real server until you didn't. And then you were getting a virtual server and nobody really noticed, nobody really cared.
That's right.
Okay. We're gone are the days when we have to worry about laying out our data structures in our database so that they match up with the boundaries of LUNs. Right. Okay? We're beyond all that.
We are.
We don't tweak that low. So bare metal as a service, though, is an interesting idea. And there are some companies and some applications where they feel that need. That's not.
It says right there, enterprises to complement virtualized cloud service. Here's the concept. If you were moving a SaaS, if Microsoft wanted to move their M365 to a new region and wanted to do something poof, and then say, you know what, that region we're not going to support anymore, or we're going to change the whole thing, that's where it would make sense for someone at that scale. There are companies that scale, car companies that are building, factories that need to have a lot of power, a lot of organization, everything else. It makes sense for that kind of company to have that power, or for that, let's just say, that flexibility to say, hey, we got a whole bunch of infrastructures behind it. Let's get some new infrastructure. Now, imagine that we can go in and say, well, they just changed businesses. Let's put something else in there. And that would take a whole bunch of configuration and a lot of work. But wait a minute, if we made it as a service, it didn't matter what was underneath.
Exactly. We just roll out a new configuration and let the the pipelines take care of all of it. So the next one down, database as a service.
Data.
I think of that really as software as a service. Honestly, I don't split that out too much personally. In my brain, a database is really just a software environment. But I can understand why people want to talk about databases as a service because there are situations where you have, on-prem databases connected to cloud databases, and you have these weird scenarios where you you really have to treat them separately, treat them distinctly.
Right.
I was just talking to a client recently that was, I shudder a little bit because they were doing snapshots of an Oracle database because that's all they could do. They were doing
I'm already seeing where this is going. Go ahead.
Night, and then they would spread them out to all of these different, clusters that were using them, that were reporting off of them or using them for something else. So every night.
Reason why they call them clusters. I'm just saying.
Yes, they're not. They would snapshot. They would push them out, and they started trying to decommission them because they don't have any idea who's using them. They turned one off. Actually, they just stopped the replication because they had a demo that they wanted to do in this dev environment. It was actually a dev environment, and they were just going to use it for a demo. And so they stopped that. It's not replication, right? That's snapshotting. They stopped that. And they found out that, lo and behold, there was like multi-million-dollar bill that didn't get calculated and sent out correctly because it was using reports that were coming off of that dev snapshot.
Oh no! Ouch!
What do you do? What do you do?
No.
So
it looked legit to me. Hey, it had everything that was exactly the same.
Database as a service. It does make sense. I understand. I personally think about it more as a platform, database as a platform, but I understand the need for this because you have to be able to beat people over the head with why they should use this instead of their current situation.
So when I look at this, I'm thinking, it's like, well, hold on a second. What's the difference between database as a service or storage as a service? Right? Or is storage a service? Because storage, remember, there's storage, there's database. Yeah. Database implies that there's a structure that follows very, very specific rules, and the data is in, tabular format. That's when I feel when I hear.
SQL, right?
Or is that not true?
Right. They're NoSQL as well.
Right.
And really, if you look at Cosmos DB or MongoDB or any of those, they're document storage. Think about them not as NoSQL. They're just document storage, and the document type doesn't matter as much. And really, what is a file structure but a way that you can store files that could be documents?
Right.
And yeah, it's.
So, but then, for example, with SQL, you can stick files in there.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It feels like storage to me. Or is storage too high a level is maybe the problem?
I think that so the difference between storage and a database are the functions that you get to run against the data that's there.
That's for sure.
I mean,
like the command to call data from storage versus the command to call a record in a database.
Yeah, but see, that record could be actually just a file stored, right? You could store each record as a file.
Indeed.
It gets funky. It gets weird.
So if I would put that up there, see how we have FAS, BMAS, DBAS. I would have STAS. Get it? Storage as a service. I'd say STAAS. But I really think there should be a storage. If they're going to go this far, they might as well do storage as a service too, I think.
I agree. Well, I mean, what do you have? Right? There are three things that you have. You have storage, right? You have compute.
Right. Yep.
Right? And you have connectivity.
That's right.
What else?
Compute, though, falls under function. Wasn't that pretty much the case there?
Compute, yes. Compute is under function. Storage, right? That's the database piece.
right?
We haven't really talked about connectivity, but network as a service.
Network as a service, which is a very important thing, actually, that virtual
Yeah.
networks and everything else. It's almost like half the battle is setting up those pieces every time we do. And when we do containers and all that stuff, that piece is literally part of the framework. It's got to
Yeah.
be part of it. But
And
that's a service.
it needs to be thought of at the beginning, not at the end. I mean, sorry. I do want to stress that, hey, having your service open to the world in dev so that you don't have to worry about who's calling it, that's a bad practice. It's easy. Don't get me wrong. I'm sorry. It's easy. It's like
It's easy.
It's like giving your kid a lollipop to shut them up, but you are not doing them any good.
No, and you're giving them sugar, and they want more.
That's right. Learn from everyone else's mistakes and do it right from the beginning.
Network as a service would be NAS. Get it? NAS. NAS. It's like so we have so we're adding 2 more to this one, NAS and STAS.
Right.
So,
all right. We'll need to get a paper put up for that.
Yeah. So let's see. They'll be calling us up for that updated paper and all that stuff. Hey, discover the benefits. What are the benefits? I'm just curious to see how they follow through. I'm just clicking. Oh, I see. So that's the smart thing. So they made me click, and yep, clickbait. I clicked. They caught me. They got me.
Does Intel have their own cloud? I mean, IBM has their own cloud, right? But does Intel?
Oh, that's a good question. I get the impression that Intel is like saying, you know what, we have the machines that you can fit in your hand that are a little take it away clouds.
Right.
Because actually, if you think about it, one of these processors is equivalent to every internet, the entire internet of 1979, which was DARPA back then. It probably all fits in this little CPU.
Completely simulated. Yes.
Completely simulated right in there. So, actually,
so see, we actually could be beyond level 6 in the civilization scale anyway, right? We actually could be in someone else's civilization because we're just a simulation.
We're just a simulation. Exactly right. We're just out there. Someone else is saying like, yeah, look at how cute they are. So arguing about light speed.
Once you get to 6, you go to 7, which is the equivalent of 1 but simulated.
Okay. Whoa! How about that? This actually looks really cool. Some of this stuff.
Oh yeah. Man, they're doing so much with solid state storage now. Remember when?
Oh man.
Storage used to be on rotating disks.
Yes.
Oh, wait, let's go back further. Remember when storage used to be on magnetic tape? Oh, wait.
Let's go back. Here it is.
Let's go back further. Remember when storage used to be charges that were on wires?
Oh yeah, so that's right. I mean, lemons could be storage,
yes.
so to speak. Yes.
So I mean, we've gone a long way with this. I mean, Moore's law is still going strong.
Indeed. So to talk about workloads now. Let's see, IoT, of course, and here we go. Here's the big map, and ka-ching.
Oh,
there. Hey, look, but for as cheap as $501, well, I'm going to say cheap.
Yeah.
You have your entry point into all this.
Now we're gonna have to talk about Ralph's money. Do you have up to $500 in your Ralph's account anymore?
Ralph's account? No. Well, you know what? I think I need to create like 25 Ralphs from my money to be able to get there. Let's just say that cash is still king right now. Thank you.
Cash is still king.
Cash is still king. Thank God for dividends and other investments that are out there that are, how do we say, here's the thing. Thank God for money that's being managed by other people. Lest Ralph touch it. That way, they go down to like 20 cents on the dollar.
Yeah,
I don't even want to look. I'm afraid.
I will tell you, I've changed jobs recently, right? So I'm looking to changing my 401k plan over from our previous employer to the new one. Our previous employer's 401k plan has lost 14% to date this year. Lost 14%. That overcame the money that I was putting in every month, right?
Oh,
they lost
man.
I was giving them. It's awful.
Oh, That's true, and that's regular money too. That's not
That's real money.
not
Yeah, that's not
Ralph's money over here. Not the
not
that's
money.
the yeah. So that's happening. Of course, as they say, we're in for the long haul.
That's
So
right. No,
our hope is that we're at
it's
some
all
point it catches. Yeah,
got to be holders.
got to be holders. I'm just looking at these prices over here. Here's
Oh yeah, you got up
555.
to good ones there. I saw $13,000.
Oh, whew, there we go. There we go.
Yeah,
Duh. All right. Let's see. Feature supported.
40
Oh,
cores.
40 freaking cores. What?
40
How the heck?
cores.
40?
40.
Oh.
Isn't that cool?
Of course, in about 5 years, it'll be like 40.
Yeah.
We're
Wait,
talking
what
400
yeah.
or 4,000. God knows. Whoa. Look at this.
Isn't that crazy?
I mean, we're in crazy number territory.
And
We're in. This is a nosebleed numbers. I swear. They're like, oh
we
man.
used to be happy if we got a server that had 2 CPUs, and they were single threaded, right? I mean, it was
That's
like
right.
it wasn't even single cores. We didn't talk about cores. There were single CPUs, and we would have 2 in a server, and that was a beefy machine. We couldn't have a server with 2 CPUs for a dev because it cost too much.
Oh,
Our dev environment was a single CPU server.
I just spotted some stock footage over here because I have these same backgrounds. Well, some
Yeah,
of these. Yeah, I like this one. 1 second. Let me put this one on for just a second. I'm gonna change add sound here. Come on, show me sound. We gotta see this. We gotta do this. 1 second. Sound. All right, here we go. Ready, set, play. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Thinking.
Lost it.
Thinking. Lost it. There we go. I think you need one of their CPUs to play it without any issue.
We're gonna get our thing demonetized.
Whoa.
Wow. So
Drool.
I was joking a little bit about the, Intel having their own cloud, but they actually do.
Right. Drool.
Yeah.
Drool. Hold on, I gotta do the ending. Yeah. Oh, can't get away with the sound. Okay. All right. Hey, we're not getting any money from Intel or pushing Intel necessarily. Just giving you an idea of the power, the metal, because this is heavy metal. This will be our heavy metal episode.
Bring up the link I just sent you.
Oh, you got me a link. Bye. Oh,
because
Larry, have a drink.
Yeah.
Larry, you're too excited. Have a drink.
So I was talking about Intel having a cloud kind of jokingly, right? But they actually do. And it's interesting why they do. And the reason that they do is because their CPUs and things like that are so expensive now that it's hard for everyday people to write software on that size machine. So what they've done is they've actually created a development cloud where they give you free time on clusters of their top machines. How about that?
Free
That
time.
is, that is a
Wow.
commit.
Did somebody say free?
Yes,
It's the
sir.
magic words there, Larry.
I did.
Oh, and they call it vino. You know what they're trying to do?
Hey, Vino. Ooh,
It's
it's all about weekend work, though, right? That's when you need the Vino is on the weekend.
that's right.
Ah,
Looky look.
what's included? Yes. So,
Whoa. Holy camokes. I think I might explore this a little
yeah, bare
further.
metal launch containerized solution. You
Heavy
can bring
metal.
it all. Isn't
Yes.
that
When
cool?
when, when Ozzy Osbourne came about, he did not anticipate this use of heavy metal. Just a thought. And me
Yes,
and my
sir.
bad accent.
All right.
Oh man, this
What's
is just
going on?
holy
I mean,
smokes.
this
This
is
is
all
like so much
great.
power.
Yes. This is all great, but what else have we got? Come
Oh
on.
no.
What have you done for me lately? Show me something new. We've got to look at new stuff.
This is new.
I mean,
I mean,
it,
I'm going to be, if we would be busy for this for a long time. Part of this, though, and this is almost lamenting a lot of new technologies. Like once you get something, it's like, can of worms. It's like you open it, it's like you got to play with it. It's like throwing, like opening out one of those giant Lego kits that got 900 plus, 1,000 plus pieces or whatever. That's it. Your weekend's gone. Your
committed.
week is gone.
Yeah,
But you're committed, right? You got to go in to finish because
yeah.
you can't just leave it lying.
That's what this is. I'm sorry. This is something that we're going to have to dig into and find out about. Or if we have a viewer out there who knows about this, uses this for anger, right? In anger for their job,
Or in pure
if,
joy, we'll take it.
yes, we'll take it. If you
Yeah.
know someone who has done this or uses this and want to be on our show, please reach out. We have limited time. We're old. We will eventually die.
We will.
There are only so many, as Hanselman said, there's only so many keystrokes you have in your fingers. Use them
True enough.
wisely.
Yeah. So it's like, do I click on the next episode of Star Trek or do I play this stuff
Do
here?
I play this? Yes.
Yes. This is why we need to be the next level where we just absorb it. But see, here's the thing. What's the fun of absorb? Here, it's like space food, right? Yeah, sure, we can put it into its raw components and get a little tube and suck into space food, or we can sit down with a nice steak and a nice presentation and all that stuff and get wined and dined and feel that. One, I'm done and I'm my nutrition needs are met. Versus the other one, I'm
Sated on many
viscerally,
levels.
exactly. I'm viscerally satisfied and I've achieved a different level of consciousness from the act of doing it.
Absolutely.
This one is a different level of consciousness going through. I can almost see it. So for the nerdy nerds like such as us, this is pretty much, again, this is probably why they call it vino. I'm pretty sure. Like Viva, they call it Viva for a reason.
Right.
Viva's got a name. Vino's got a name. Some of these folks actually know what they're doing marketing wise. I will say, smart kids. Smart kids.
Oh
Man,
yeah.
holy smokes!
You said
All
it.
right.
You said that out loud. You said
The
kids.
smart kids, yeah, they're all kids now, right? We look at them, it's like, oh my God, they're 25, 26, and they're doing this stuff. I'm like, oh, speaking of 25, 26, that's like in Raquel's world. They're coming up and they're doing stuff, and it's like, I can keep up with Raquel because I'm sort of, at least because of her art viewpoint, she doesn't hit the tech necessarily as I do because she doesn't have to, right? But she could at any moment decide to go level up on me.
Level up.
Because she has time and let's just say the brain storage space to quickly level up on me with no time at all. Should she choose to, as they say.
Well, one thing that's interesting that I don't know if you were told this when you were young, and I wasn't. So I can tell you, the time to make your most dramatic choices, right? The time to risk the most is when you're 24, 25, 26. because you've
Yes.
got so little in your background that's holding you back, right? Right now, I've got a kid, right? I've got a mortgage. I've got all of these things. We have all of this baggage. We have
We
all of
have
this time.
dependencies. We've accumulated dependencies all the time. That's like the same like a code with just accumulates all the dependencies. And if you try to kill any of them or chop them off, poof, you feel the pain.
For sure. I mean, could I become a chef? Absolutely, but I would have to start from scratch. And is it worth my time? Can I actually fall back that far salary wise? It's hard, right? But when
Right.
you're young, you make those dramatic choices. You make the ones that that give you the greatest possibility of outcome,
Indeed.
right? Because you have plenty of time to recover.
That's
And
true.
again, who knows? The person who's going to live to be over 200, the first person to live to be over 200 might have already been born.
Right. And if that's the case, that means that they have so many chances yet to go. We're all living as if like the so-called you only live once, and you're gone
Hello.
tomorrow. The part of the problem again, and they talk about this like, in fact, I can't remember. It was like it was a TED talk where they were saying part of our issue, and especially when we talk about civilization to scale, and this is why this kind of topic is very important. When we start thinking that we are the civilization where end times occur, you're going to be living like, what do we got to lose? It's all going to be over anyway. And people have been living like that, if you think about it, for a long, long time. I mean, the revelations and all those other things that came out, they've been around a long time. So people have been living like it's gonna come. We're somewhere a generation away, or we are the generation where it's all going to be over. But when you think that way, you don't plan ahead. You don't do that stuff. I like they did the math, right? Think about all the people who has lived in all of time for humans at least, right?
Yeah.
Now maybe like in the first like 100,000 years there was like what 2 million, maybe up to 2 million or so humans of actual stuff, and they grew slowly. Now we're at what 7 billion. So if you think about it, in fact, if I recall the statistics, around 20% of everyone who's ever lived is living here today, which means that in about 50 years, our number will be dwarfed by the next generation, which is certainly going to be another 8 billion people,
Right.
50 years, a whole bunch of other people, and they're going to be multiplied. So they're going to be a bigger percentage of the area, which basically means that we are short-sighted not to be building and planning for them,
For
right?
sure.
That's the point, right? And that's what a lot of the stuff that we're doing over here, we're trying to be that way. Sure, we know that we're trying not to risk it because things can go wrong. But to be sure, the best thing that we could do is whatever we're doing, realize that it has forward implications. By the way, when you're doing any kind of development, it's pretty much the way you should think, right? It
That's the way
shouldn't
you
have
should
an
think.
expiration, right? You create something with an expiration or a thing that's going to blow up after time, and this message will self-destruct in 5, 4, that sort of stuff. You don't do that. You build you build to last whenever you can. And you might say, well, it won't last, but at least it'll be functional up to a point. Well, then you build it so that it can be picked up and carried forward then
Maintained, exactly.
and
You do.
maintained. That
Yeah.
maintainability, the part of the cloud factor and all the other ones where they say that maintainability piece, that is the most important aspect. Sustainability, maintainability, which by the way will be a topic coming up, that the idea of something that can be taken forward. If you can't take it, can the next generation take it and move
Yeah.
forward? But if you give them
So,
nothing to take, if you hide it, or whatever, then that defeats the purpose. You're not doing your job as a living being of this civilization to take it forward.
so are you saying, are you afraid that we're in a civilization bubble and that
So
we
it
might have a
creates that
recession?
bubble.
Might
It
go into a
creates that
recession.
bubble. Well, if you think about it, that's for hundreds of thousands of years, nothing happened. All of a sudden, the industrial revolution hit and it popped. Right? We're always in the bubble of our own making. All
Yeah.
right. But it's gonna just take a lot of us to keep poking on the bubble and
Yeah.
keep
So it's sort
pushing
of like
things and dropping it on the other
we are
side.
we're running down a hill, a very, very steep hill,
Mhm.
with scissors in both hands, backpack on, full of
Yep.
water, and we're just barely keeping our feet, and there are, you know the ground is rough, right? There are bushes we're having to dodge. it's
Indeed.
it's all we can do to keep moving forward. But all we can do is keep moving forward. That's what we can do. And
That's right.
we have to keep looking out, keep watching ahead, making
Right.
sure that
If you fall down, get up, put a Band-Aid on that cut, thanks to the scissors, whatever, get another pair of scissors in case that breaks, because, we're still going to, for whatever reason, we just have to have those scissors while we run.
I don't know why. Why are we?
I don't know why. Someone told
why.
us not to run with scissors. Like, oh, wow. Yeah, you're right. Give me another scissors, please.
Yeah. Give me some more.
Yeah, we need
some more.
That's how we are, right? That's like we're told, hey, don't do that. It's bad for you. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, can I have some more of that?
Can I have some more of that?
All
right.
Well, wow, we were so philosophical once again in this particular talk. We started from tech talk to cloud talk to like let's get up in the brains here.
No, we have great weekend to celebrate. The weather here is going to be nice. I hope yours is as well.
For the most part, we got rain and everything else, but you know what? Again, getting to the point where like, you know what? These things happen. Let's work it. We make it work.
Yes. So now, if it is raining, you know that you're not supposed to run. You'll get wetter if you run through the rain than if you just walk through it.
This is true. And then, by the way, if someone tells you that water is wet, no, you get wet. Water is not wet. Yeah. Just saying. Water is not wet. Duh. It's like some people are like, well, is water wet? It's like, no, but it'll make you wet. Just remember that.
Be safe.
Raquel, you can sign us out pretty soon. Yes, be safe all. We'll catch you next week. We hope to have some surprise guests coming up one after the other pretty soon. And again, invite to the folks that are watching and subscribing. Don't forget, please subscribe. We were trying to grow. You never know what's going to happen because, as they say, when other people see this, especially the folks like, I don't know, that we show off over here once in a while, not that they're going to give us money or anything. And that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for them to encourage others to do so. Right. Because the more that's out there, the better for us. So like I can read something like this and say, this person took the time to write this. And now I'm enjoying this particular article and document and taking it from there. Right.
Sure.
That person had to have a job and that person had to have inspiration to get it done.
Pay it forward.
Thank you. Arohi Lacara, who wrote this blog, because there's so many of them out there. And you are the lucky winner of today's I'm Reading Your Blog.
Are we gone? Are we on?
Yep. 2-1.